I stood in the doorway of our apartment in Chicago, watching my fiancée Jessica laugh into her phone. "Oh please, Sarah," she said, twirling her hair. "If Jake left tomorrow, I could have someone better by Friday. Men like him are a dime a dozen." My hand froze on my suitcase handle. She didn't know I was home early. She didn't know I'd heard every single word. Have you ever heard something that completely changed how you saw someone you loved? Drop a comment and let me know your story. And make sure you're subscribed because part 2 of this story is going to blow your mind. Let me back up and tell you how we got here. My name is Jake Morrison, and I'm 20 years old. I work as a software engineer for a tech company in downtown Chicago. I'm not rich, but I make good money, enough to pay for the nice apartment Jessica and I shared in Lincoln Park, enough to take her to fancy restaurants, enough to buy her the engagement ring she'd been hinting about for months. Jessica Hayes was 26, and when I first met her 2 years ago at a coffee shop on Michigan Avenue, I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. She had long blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and a smile that made my heart skip a beat. She worked as a marketing coordinator for a fashion company, and she always looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine. Our first year together was amazing. We went on weekend trips to Milwaukee and Indianapolis. We cooked dinner together on Sunday nights. We watched movies cuddled up on the couch. She laughed at my jokes, even the bad ones. I helped her practice her presentations for work. We talked about getting married, having kids someday, buying a house in the suburbs. I proposed to her 6 months ago at Navy Pier, right by the lake at sunset. She cried happy tears and said yes, and I felt like the luckiest guy in the world. But then things started to change. It was small stuff at first. Jessica started spending more time on her phone, scrolling through Instagram and TikTok for hours. She began comparing our life to her friends' lives. "Emma's boyfriend just bought her a new car," she'd say. "Tyler's fiancée is taking her to Paris for their honeymoon. We're just going to Florida." I tried to explain that I was saving money for our wedding and our future, but she'd just sigh and say, I know. I'm just saying." She started going out more with her girlfriends. Her friend group included Sarah, Madison, and Olivia. They'd go to expensive bars in River North, post pictures online, and come home late. I didn't mind at first. Everyone needs time with their friends. But the comments got worse. "You know, Jake, you could dress better," she said one morning while I was putting on jeans and a t-shirt for a casual Saturday. "Maybe try wearing something more stylish? Like Brad does." Brad was Sarah's boyfriend, some finance guy who wore designer clothes and drove a BMW. "You could work out more," she mentioned another time while we were watching TV. "Get abs like the guys on those shows." I did work out. I went to the gym 3 times a week. I was in decent shape. But apparently decent wasn't good enough. The worst part was how she talked to her friends about me. I started noticing it when I'd overhear her phone calls. She'd laugh about something I did wrong, make jokes about my job being boring, or compare me to other guys. "Yeah, Jake's sweet and all," I heard her tell Madison once. "But sometimes I wonder if I could do better, you know. Like, he's safe. But is safe what I really want?" That hurt. A lot. But I loved her, so I tried harder. I bought her flowers more often. I planned surprise date nights. I listened when she talked about her day. I thought if I just showed her how much I cared, she'd remember why she fell in love with me. Then came that Thursday afternoon in early March. I'd left work early because I finished a big project ahead of schedule. My boss told me to take the rest of the day off. I was excited. I thought I'd surprise Jessica with her favorite Thai food from the place on Clark Street, and maybe we could watch a movie together. I walked into our apartment quietly, planning to surprise her. That's when I heard her voice coming from the bedroom. She was on the phone, and she was laughing. I stood in the hallway, holding the bag of takeout, and listened. "Sarah, you're being dramatic," Jessica said with a giggle. "Of course I'm not going to leave Jake right now. The wedding's already planned." My stomach dropped. "But honestly," she continued, "between you and me, If Jake left tomorrow, I could have someone better by Friday. Men like him are a dime a dozen. Nice guys with boring jobs who think buying flowers makes up for not being exciting. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jessica went on. Jake's useful. He pays for everything, he's reliable, and he'll be a good dad someday. But sometimes I go out with you guys and I see the men at those bars, successful, confident, interesting, and I think, is this really it? Is Jake really the best I can do? Sarah must have said something because Jessica laughed again. Oh, stop! I'm not that shallow. But come on, you've seen the guys who hit on us. That lawyer last week? The one who bought us drinks? He was gorgeous and rich. And he was interested in me, even though I'm engaged. No, I didn't give him my number, she said after a pause. But I thought about it. Just to see what it would be like, you know? Jake's so predictable. I know exactly what every day with him is going to look like for the next 50 years. Wake up, go to work, come home, watch TV, repeat. Where's the excitement? Where's the passion? I couldn't listen anymore. I walked back to the front door as quietly as I could, stepped outside, and closed it softly behind me. I sat on the stairs in the hallway of our building, still holding the bag of Thai food, trying to process what I'd just heard. The woman I loved, the woman I'd planned to marry, thought I was boring. Replaceable. A dime a dozen. She was only staying with me because I was useful, and the wedding was already planned. I felt anger rising in my chest, but also something else, a weird sense of calm. Like suddenly everything made sense. All the comments about my clothes, my job, my lack of excitement. All the time she seemed more interested in her phone than in me. All the nights she'd rather go out with her friends than spend time together. She didn't love me. Not really. She loved what I provided. Stability. Security. A reliable future. But she didn't think I was enough. I sat there for about 20 minutes, thinking. Part of me wanted to march back in there and confront her. Another part wanted to pretend I never heard anything and just keep going like before. But then I thought, why? Why should I marry someone who thinks I'm replaceable? Who's only with me because I'm convenient? Who thinks she could do better? That's when I made my decision. If Jessica really thought she could replace me in 24 hours, if she really thought men like me were a dime a dozen, then I'd give her the chance to prove it. I'd leave. Pack my stuff. Move out. Let her see what life was like without her. Boring, predictable. Fiancée. And maybe, just maybe, she'd realize what she'd lost. I pulled out my phone and called my best friend Marcus. He lived in an apartment in Wicker Park with his roommate, and I knew they had a spare room. Hey man, Marcus answered. What's up? Can I crash at your place for a while? I asked. Sure. Everything okay? I'll explain when I get there. I just need to pack some stuff first. Doors open, bro, whatever you need. I hung up and took a deep breath. Then I stood up, threw the Thai food in a trash can in the hallway, and went back into the apartment. Jessica was still in the bedroom, still on the phone. I could hear her laughing about something. I walked straight to the closet in the hallway where we kept our suitcases. I pulled out my large duffel bag and started packing. I grabbed clothes from the closet, my toiletries from the bathroom, my laptop and charger from the desk. I wasn't trying to be quiet anymore. After about 10 minutes, Jessica came out of the bedroom. She was off the phone now, and she looked confused. Jake? What are you doing? I didn't hear you come home. I kept packing. I came home early. Oh. Why didn't you say something? I was just talking to Sarah. She smiled, completely clueless. I know, I said, folding a shirt and putting it in my bag. I heard. Her smile faltered a little. You heard what? Everything. I zipped up the duffel bag and looked at her directly. I heard you tell Sarah that if I left, you could replace me in 24 hours. That men like me are a dime a dozen. That I'm boring and predictable but useful because I pay for everything. Her face went completely white. Jake, that's not. I was just venting. Sarah and I were just talking, you know how girls are. Right, I said calmly. Just girl talk. Talking about how you could do better, how you thought about giving your number to some lawyer at a bar, how you're only marrying me because I'm reliable and the wedding's already planned. Jake, you're taking this completely out of context. She moved toward me, reaching for my arm. I didn't mean any of that. I love you. I stepped back. Do you? Or do you love what I provide? Because from what I heard, it sounds like you think I'm just a safe option. A backup plan. That's not true. Her eyes were filling with tears now. You're twisting my words. I was just having a bad day in. Jessica. I picked up my bag. You said if I left, you could replace me in 24 hours. So I'm going to give you that chance. What? No. Jake, where are you going? I'm moving out. I'm going to stay with Marcus for a while. You can't just leave, she cried. We're engaged. We're getting married in 4 months. Are we? I headed toward the door. Because it sounds like you're not even sure you want to marry me. It sounds like you're settling. I'm not settling. Jake, please, can we just talk about this? I stopped at the door and turned back to look at her. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Part of me felt bad. But a bigger part of me was just done. You know what, Jessica? You were right about one thing. You do deserve better. You deserve someone exciting, someone who makes you feel alive, someone you actually want to be with, not someone you're with because they're useful. Jake. And I deserve better too. I deserve someone who loves me for who I am. Someone who doesn't think I'm replaceable. Someone who doesn't wonder if they could do better. Please don't go, she whispered. You said you could replace me in 24 hours, I said quietly. Prove it. Find someone better. Find someone exciting. And if you can't, I shrugged. Then maybe you'll realize what you had. I walked out the door and closed it behind me. I could hear her crying on the other side, calling my name, but I didn't turn back. I got in my car and drove to Marcus's apartment in Wicker Park. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I kept replaying Jessica's words in my head. A dime a dozen. Boring. Useful. When I got to Marcus's place, he took one look at my face and handed me a beer. What happened, man? I told him everything. About Jessica's phone call, about what she'd said, about how I'd packed up and left. Marcus listened quietly, nodding. When I finished, he shook his head. Bro, I'm sorry. That's rough. Am I crazy? I asked. Should I have just talked to her about it instead of leaving? Nah, man. She literally said you were replaceable. That she's only with you because you're useful. That's not something you can just talk out. That's how she really feels. Maybe I am boring, I said, staring at my beer. Maybe she's right. Stop that. Marcus pointed at me. You're not boring. You're a good dude. You work hard, you treat people right, you're loyal. If Jessica can't see that, that's her problem, not yours. She thinks she can find someone better in 24 hours. Marcus laughed. Let her try. Guys who buy drinks at bars aren't looking for girlfriends, bro. They're looking for one night. Jessica's going to figure that out real quick. I wanted to believe him. But part of me wondered, what if she did find someone better? What if there really were tons of guys out there who were everything I wasn't? Over the next few days, I threw myself into work. I went to the gym more. I hung out with Marcus and his friends. I tried not to think about Jessica. But of course, I couldn't help it. She texted me constantly. Jessica, Jake, please come home. We need to talk. Jessica, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean what I said. I was being stupid. Jessica, I miss you. Please just give me a chance to explain. I didn't respond. I figured if I was really as replaceable as she said, she wouldn't have any trouble moving on. Then the call started. I didn't answer. She left voicemails, crying, begging me to call her back. My mom called me on Saturday. Jake, honey, what's going on? Jessica called me in tears saying you left. We had a fight, Mom. I need some space. But the wedding? I don't know about the wedding right now, Mom. I'm sorry. After I hung up with my mom, I felt guilty. Our families had already bought plane tickets, booked hotels. The venue was paid for. The invitations were sent out. But I couldn't marry someone who thought I was boring and replaceable. I just couldn't. On Sunday, exactly 1 week after I'd left, Marcus came into the spare room where I was staying. Dude, you need to see this. He handed me his phone. It was open to Instagram. Jessica had posted a photo from the night before. She was at some club in downtown Chicago, dressed up, surrounded by her friends Sarah, Madison, and Olivia. The caption said, "Living my best life. Woman dancing sparkles." There were guys in the background of the photo, clearly trying to talk to them. I felt a weird mix of emotions. Jealousy, sure. But also, relief? Like this confirmed what I already suspected. She was already out there, trying to prove she could replace me. She's really doing it, I muttered. Yeah, and look at the comments, Marcus said. I scrolled down. Most of them were from her girlfriends hyping her up. Yes, queen. You look amazing. He doesn't deserve you. But there were a few from guys I didn't recognize, leaving fire emojis and comments like looking beautiful and let me take you out sometime. She's really trying to find someone new, I said. Let her, Marcus said, taking his phone back. You dodged a bullet, man. Anyone who posts that kind of stuff right after a breakup is just trying to make you jealous. It's immature. He was probably right. But it still hurt. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Jessica at that club, dancing, laughing, getting attention from other guys. Guys who were probably richer, better looking, more exciting than me. Was I making a mistake? Should I have fought harder for our relationship? But then I remembered her words. Men like him are a dime a dozen. No. I wasn't making a mistake. I deserved someone who thought I was 1 in a million, not 1 in a dozen. The next morning, I got a text from an unknown number. Unknown, hey Jake, this is Sarah, Jessica's friend. I just wanted to say I think what you're doing is really messed up. Jessica loves you and you're throwing away your relationship over nothing. She was just venting to me like friends do. You're being childish. I stared at the text in disbelief. Sarah was the one Jessica had been talking to when she said all those things, and now Sarah was calling me childish. I typed back, thanks for your input, Sarah. But I don't think calling your fiancé replaceable, and a dime a dozen, counts as normal venting. Have a great day. I blocked her number. Later that day, Madison texted me from another unknown number with a similar message. I blocked her too. It was clear Jessica had sent her friends after me, trying to guilt me into coming back. It wasn't going to work. 2 weeks passed. I started to settle into my new routine at Marcus's place. Work, gym, hang out with friends, repeat. It was actually kind of nice. No more walking on eggshells, wondering if I was being exciting enough or successful enough. I was just me. And then, on a Friday night, everything changed. I was at a sports bar in Wicker Park with Marcus and some of his friends, watching a basketball game. The Bulls were playing the Celtics, and we were having a good time, eating wings and drinking beer. And then I saw her. Jessica. She walked into the bar with Sarah, Madison, and Olivia, all dressed up like they were going to a nightclub, not a sports bar. They grabbed a table near the back. Is that Jessica? Marcus asked, following my gaze. Yeah. Did she know you'd be here? I don't know. Maybe? I tried to focus on the game, but I kept glancing over at their table. Jessica kept looking around the bar, and I realized she was scanning the crowd, probably looking for guys to talk to. Sure enough, within about 20 minutes, a couple of guys approached their table. They were tall, well-dressed, probably in their early 30s. One of them had his hair slicked back and was wearing an expensive watch. I watched as Jessica laughed at something he said, flipping her hair. Sarah was talking to the other guy. Madison and Olivia were taking pictures. "Dude, stop torturing yourself," Marcus said. "Let's move to the other side of the bar." "No, it's fine. I don't care." But I did care. I cared a lot. The guys bought drinks for Jessica and her friends. They all sat down together, clearly hitting it off. Jessica was smiling, touching the guy's arm when she laughed. Was this it? Was this her? Replacing me in 24 hours? It had been 2 weeks, but still. I felt anger bubbling up inside me. This was the woman who'd cried and begged me to come back. The woman who'd had her friends text me saying she loved me? And here she was, flirting with some random guy at a bar. "I'm going to go talk to her," I said, standing up. "Bad idea, bro," Marcus warned. "I just want to see what she has to say." I walked over to their table. Jessica saw me coming and her eyes went wide. "Jake! What are you? I didn't know you'd be here." "Clearly," I said, looking at the guy sitting next to her. "Who's your friend?" The guy looked confused. I'm Derek." "And you are?" "I'm Jake. Jessica's fiancé." Jessica's face turned red. "Ex-fiancé," she corrected quickly. "We broke up." "Did we?" I asked. "Because you've been calling and texting me nonstop for 2 weeks, begging me to come back." Derek stood up, looking uncomfortable. "Whoa, I don't want to get in the middle of this." "Jessica, you said you were single." "I am single," Jessica insisted. "Jake left me after I heard you tell your friend that I was replaceable and boring," I said to Derek. "She said if I left, she could find someone better in 24 hours. Looks like she's making good on that promise." Derek raised his eyebrows. "Yeah, I'm out. This is too much drama." He grabbed his friend and they both left the table. Sarah, Madison, and Olivia were staring at me like I'd just committed a crime. Jessica stood up, furious. "How dare you! You just ruined my chance with a really great guy. A really great guy you met 10 minutes ago?" I shot back. "Come on, Jessica. Is this really what you want? Bar hopping, looking for random guys to replace me with. What do you care? You left me because you said I was replaceable." The whole bar was staring at us now. The basketball game was forgotten. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. "I made a mistake, okay? I said stupid things to Sarah because I was frustrated. But I love you, Jake. I want you back. 2 minutes ago you were flirting with another guy. Because you won't talk to me. What am I supposed to do?" I stood there in the sports bar, looking at Jessica with tears streaming down her face, and I realized something important. This wasn't about whether she could replace me or whether I could forgive her. This was about respect. "Jessica," I said quietly, trying to ignore all the people watching us. "You're supposed to do whatever makes you happy. But you can't have it both ways. You can't tell your friends I'm boring and replaceable, then cry when I actually leave, and then go out trying to meet other guys while still calling yourself my fiancé." "I'm confused, okay?" she sobbed. "I don't know what I want." And that was the truth, wasn't it? She didn't know what she wanted. She wanted the security I provided, but she also wanted excitement. She wanted to keep me around as a backup plan while she explored other options. "I think you need to figure that out," I said. "And I need to move on with my life." I walked back to Marcus's table, grabbed my jacket, and left the bar. Marcus followed me out. "You okay?" he asked when we got outside. "Yeah," I said, and I meant it. "I'm actually okay." Because seeing Jessica like that, desperate, confused, flirting with random guys to make herself feel better, made me realize that I'd made the right choice. That wasn't the woman I wanted to spend my life with. The next morning, I woke up with a clear head for the first time in weeks. I made a decision. I was going to officially end the engagement and move forward. I texted Jessica, "We need to talk. Can you meet me at the coffee shop on Michigan Avenue tomorrow at 2 p.m.? The one where we first met." She responded immediately, "Yes. Thank you. I'll be there." The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. I ordered my usual black coffee and sat at a table by the window, watching people walk by on the busy Chicago street. Jessica arrived exactly on time. She looked nervous, clutching her purse with both hands. She dressed nicely, a blue dress I'd always liked, her hair done perfectly. She was trying. "Hi," she said softly, sitting down across from me. "Hi. Thanks for agreeing to meet me." I nodded. I wanted to talk in person instead of over text. She ordered a latte from the waiter and then turned back to me. "Jake, I've been doing a lot of thinking over the past few weeks. And I need you to know how sorry I am." "Okay. What I said to Sarah, it was horrible. It was mean and unfair and not true. I don't think you're boring. I don't think you're replaceable. I was being a shallow, stupid person who was comparing our life to other people's lives on social media." I listened without interrupting. "I got caught up in what Sarah and Madison and Olivia were always talking about," she continued. "They're always posting about their fancy dates and expensive gifts and exotic trips. And I started feeling like our life wasn't good enough. But that was wrong. Our life was beautiful. You made me happy, and I threw it away because I was chasing something that doesn't even matter." "What about that guy at the bar?" I asked. "Derek?" She looked down at her hands. "That was a mistake. After you left, Sarah kept telling me I should get back out there, show you I didn't need you. So I went out with them a few times. Guys would buy us drinks and talk to us, and for a minute it felt exciting. But Jake, none of them were you. None of them cared about me. They just wanted, you know." "I know." "Derek seemed nice at first, but as soon as things got complicated, he ran. And I realized that's what all those exciting guys do. They're not looking for something real. They're just looking for fun." The waiter brought her latte, and she thanked him quietly. "You were right," she said, looking up at me with red eyes. "I do deserve better. I deserve someone who I appreciate and respect. And you deserve better too. You deserve someone who sees how amazing you are." I felt my throat tighten. "Jessica. But I want that person to be me," she said quickly. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you terribly. But I'm asking you to give me another chance. I promise I'll never take you for granted again. I'll delete Instagram. I'll stop hanging out with Sarah and those girls if they're a bad influence. I'll do whatever it takes." I took a deep breath. This was the moment I'd been dreading. Because part of me, a big part, wanted to say yes. Wanted to forgive her and go back to how things were. But I couldn't. "Jessica, I appreciate you apologizing. I really do. And I believe you mean it right now. But here's the thing, you said those words. You felt those feelings. And I don't think you can just make them disappear. I can. I will. Maybe. But I can't unhear them. Every time we have a quiet night at home, I'll wonder if you're thinking I'm boring. Every time we can't afford something expensive, I'll wonder if you're wishing you were with someone richer. Every time you go out with friends, I'll wonder if you're comparing me to other guys." She was crying now. "Jake, please. And that's no way to live," I said gently. "For either of us. You shouldn't have to convince yourself I'm good enough. And I shouldn't have to prove my worth to someone who's supposed to love me unconditionally. I do love you unconditionally." "No, you don't. And that's okay. We're young. We both have time to find people who are right for us. But Jessica, I don't think we're right for each other. Not anymore." She put her head in her hands and sobbed. People in the coffee shop were staring, but I didn't care. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I know. And I forgive you. But I can't marry you." We sat there for a long time while she cried and I drank my coffee. Finally, she wiped her eyes with a napkin and looked at me. "So this is really it? We're done?" "Yeah. We're done. What about the wedding? All the deposits, the invitations. I'll help with the cancellations and splitting the costs. We'll figure it out." She nodded slowly. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." Do you hate me? I thought about it. No. I'm hurt and disappointed, but I don't hate you. I hope you find what you're looking for, Jessica. I really do. I hope you find someone who excites you and makes you happy. What if what I was looking for was with you all along and I was just too stupid to see it? Then that's something you'll have to live with. She started crying again, but softer this time. I really did love you, you know. I still do. I loved you too. But love isn't always enough. We finished our coffee in silence. When we stood up to leave, she hugged me tightly. Goodbye, Jake, she whispered. Goodbye, Jessica. I walked out of that coffee shop feeling lighter than I had in months. It hurt, but it was the right kind of hurt, like ripping off a bandage. It stung for a moment, but underneath, healing could finally begin. Over the next few weeks, I focused on myself. I officially moved my stuff out of the apartment Jessica and I had shared. She already found a roommate to help with rent, one of her coworkers. I found my own place, a smaller apartment in Ukrainian village. It wasn't as nice as the Lincoln Park apartment, but it was mine. I decorated it the way I wanted. I bought a comfortable couch, set up my gaming system, hung up posters of my favorite bands. Marcus helped me move in. Welcome to bachelor life, bro, he said, handing me a beer once all the boxes were unpacked. Thanks for letting me crash at your place for so long. Anytime, man. You know that. I started going to the gym more regularly. I picked up hobbies I'd abandoned. I started playing guitar again, something I'd loved in college but stopped because Jessica always complained about the noise. I joined a recreational basketball league. I went to concerts and comedy shows with friends. I was rediscovering who I was without Jessica. At work, I got promoted. My boss recognized the extra effort I'd been putting in and made me a senior software engineer with a nice raise. I celebrated by taking my parents out to dinner at a nice steakhouse in the Loop. We're proud of you, son, my dad said, raising his glass. And we're proud of how you handled the situation with Jessica. That took guts. Your father's right, my mom added. That girl didn't deserve you. You'll find someone better. 3 months after the breakup, I was at a bookstore in Wicker Park on a Saturday afternoon. I was browsing the science fiction section when I literally bumped into someone, knocking a book out of her hands. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I said, bending down to pick it up. No worries, I wasn't watching where I was, Jake. I looked up. It was Emma Chin, a girl I'd gone to college with at Northwestern. We'd been friends in a few classes but lost touch after graduation. Emma! Wow, hey! How are you? I'm great. What are you doing in this part of town? I actually live nearby now. What about you? Same. I moved to Chicago about a year ago for work. We ended up getting coffee at the shop next door and catching up. Emma was a graphic designer for an advertising agency downtown. She was funny, smart, and easy to talk to. We talked for 2 hours about everything, our jobs, our families, our college memories. I heard through the grapevine that you were engaged, she said carefully. Congratulations. Actually, we broke up a few months ago. Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. No, it's fine. It was for the best, honestly. Well, their loss, she said with a kind smile. When we left the coffee shop, Emma said, Hey, this was really fun. We should hang out again sometime. Maybe catch a movie or something? I'd like that, I said, meaning it. We exchanged numbers, and over the next few weeks, Emma and I started hanging out regularly. We went to museums, tried new restaurants, watched movies. It wasn't dating, not officially, but it was nice. She was easy to be around. She laughed at my jokes. She didn't compare me to anyone else. She just liked me for me. One evening, we were walking along the Chicago River Walk after dinner. It was early June, and the weather was perfect. Can I ask you something? Emma said. Sure. Your ex, the engagement that ended. Do you want to talk about what happened? I hesitated, then decided to tell her the truth. I explained everything. how I'd overheard Jessica's phone call, what she'd said, how I'd left, the whole story. Emma listened quietly. When I finished, she said, "Wow. That must have been really painful." It was. But honestly, looking back now, I'm glad it happened. I was about to marry someone who didn't really value me. Better to find out before the wedding than after. That's a really healthy way to look at it. What about you? I asked. Any dramatic breakup stories? She laughed. Nothing quite that dramatic. My last boyfriend and I just grew apart. We wanted different things. It ended amicably. That's probably healthier than my situation. Maybe. But at least you learned something valuable. You know what you don't want in a relationship now. She was right. I didn't know what I didn't want. I didn't want someone who thought I was boring. I didn't want someone who saw me as a backup plan. I didn't want someone who was always looking for something better. I wanted someone who appreciated quiet nights at home. Someone who thought reliability was a strength, not a weakness. Someone who saw me as enough. By July, Emma and I had officially started dating. It was different from my relationship with Jessica, calmer, more comfortable, but in a good way. There was no drama, no games, no wondering if I was measuring up. Emma just liked being with me. And I liked being with her. One night, we were at my apartment watching a movie when my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Unknown, "Hey Jake, it's Jessica. I know I probably shouldn't be texting you, but I wanted you to know that I'm seeing a therapist now. She's been helping me work through a lot of stuff. I realized I had a lot of issues with self-worth, and I was trying to fill that void with external validation. Anyway, I'm sorry for everything. I hope you're doing well." I showed the text to Emma. "My ex," I explained. "Are you going to respond?" "I don't know. What do you think?" "I think that's up to you. But it sounds like she's trying to grow and apologize. Maybe a response would give both of you closure." I thought about it, then typed back, "I'm glad you're working on yourself, Jessica. I wish you all the best. Take care." Short, polite, final. Jessica responded, "Thank you. You too." And that was it. The final chapter of that story was closed. Emma squeezed my hand. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said, putting my phone away. "I'm really okay." And I was. 6 months later, on a cold January evening, Emma and I were ice skating at Millennium Park. We'd been dating for 7 months, and it was the best relationship I'd ever had. As we glided around the rink, holding hands and laughing when we almost fell, I thought about how different my life was now compared to a year ago. A year ago, I was engaged to someone who thought I was replaceable. Now I was with someone who made me feel valued every single day. A year ago, I was trying to be exciting enough, successful enough, interesting enough. Now I was just being myself, and that was enough. "Hey," Emma said, pulling me to a stop. "What are you thinking about?" "Just how lucky I am," I said. She smiled. "I'm the lucky one." We kissed right there on the ice, surrounded by twinkling lights and falling snow, and I realized something important. Jessica had been wrong. I wasn't a dime a dozen. I wasn't replaceable. I was exactly who I was supposed to be. And the right person would always see that. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you turns out to be the best thing. Getting my heart broken taught me my worth. Walking away from someone who didn't appreciate me made room for someone who did. Jessica thought she could replace me in 24 hours. But the truth is, you can't replace something real with something easy. Real relationships take time. Real love requires respect. Real partnership means seeing someone's value even on the ordinary days. I don't know if Jessica ever found what she was looking for. I hope she did. I hope she learned to appreciate substance over flash, reliability over excitement, real love over the illusion of something better. As for me, I found everything I needed when I stopped trying to be enough for the wrong person and started being myself for the right one. And that made all the difference.